Welcome to an Edge Factor virtual workplace experience. Today, India talks to us about her work as an electrician at a municipal water pump facility. We'll be looking at the following chapters. Chapter 1, Pumping Station Overview. Chapter 2, Water Pump Swingover. Chapter 3, What is a cable tray? And finally, Chapter 4, What is a communication control panel? Let's dive in.
So welcome to, this is Heritage Pumping Station. It is with the region of Peel. So this is our pumping station here. We have about 12 pumps on the floor. So what their purpose is to pump our water from the main plant in Mississauga out to further extremities and other cities around that area, outside of that area and surrounding areas. Out on my right-hand side here, you can see an example of what an old style MCC is. This would be circa about 1960. And you can just see how kind of outdated it is. A lot of these things are very mechanical and manually operated. So our purpose right now is to take this old system and transition it to a new system, which we will go through in a little bit. And each individualized pump will get new cables, new wiring, and just kind of help the overall function of the plant, make it more efficient and more effective. So if you want to follow me, we'll kind of take a little bit more of a walk through our plant here. So this on my right-hand side is a PLC, and that is a programmable logic controller. This is basically like a big giant computer, and it uses various contacts and things like that to basically control the whole process of the plant. They're actually able to control the whole plant from the one location in Mississauga through a control room. And as you can see through this screen, they can actually control each and every single pump remotely. And then again, here on my right-hand side as we're walking along, you can see a lot more of that old gear. It's just very outdated. Again, a lot of things are manually operated and just kind of needing a refresher. And then over here on my left are just things that will be installed in the future. These are a lot of valves and things like that. In order to get these things installed, they do require a shutdown just because we are dealing with service water, and we have to be able to turn off that pipe or valve or whatever it is to make sure that water is still getting supplied to the areas that they are needed. So that's why a shutdown is required. So now we will be entering into our new electrical area. So all that gear that we just passed that's outdated is now going to be updated to all of what you see here. So each one of these pumps that you saw out there are now going to be controlled by both of these pieces of gear on either side. These are starters and these are VFDs, which are variable frequency drives. A frequency drives allows the pump to kind of gradually start up, and it just has a softer start. So if you remember me showing you the PLC on the old side of the plant, this is the new PLC. So it's a lot bigger. There's a lot more to it. I have actually been part of the process of wiring this up and making sure that this is all going flawlessly. So again, each one of these kind of contacts and things in here do something to control the plant and the process remotely through the one control room in Peel. This gear on my left-hand side deals with a lot of the generators. So in the situation of a power failure, we actually have 2 generators here on site that will be controlled by this gear here, and that just allows this plant to continue running so that, again, we can provide water to the areas that need it, again, in the event of a power failure. And then on my right-hand side, this is an MCC. So this just kind of controls more of the smaller pieces of the plant. So this would be your heaters and just more, this can feed lighting panels, some more extremity areas and just more specific to this plant, not so much process related. Over here we have a lighting panel. So this would be kind of a very specific and generalized area to this plant. This is just for a lot of the lighting and receptacles within the plant. Again, going from the bigger pieces to down to a smaller scale. And again, this is just for this specific plant. And that's our tour. So we are going to take a closer dive into a couple of our pumps here. This first pump in front of me is actually running on our old system. So you'll see there's not really a whole lot of wiring to it. It's all pretty much just in that centralized box. This here on my left-hand side is actually the motor. And this is what will drive and pump all the water throughout our pumping downstairs and again out to those extremities within the city. This is where the water actually flows through. So the water actually gets suctioned up from the bottom here, goes through this, and then out to the discharge area, which is on this side. As you can see, there are starting pieces to get that transition to our new system, and as well, there's another piece over there. That process is called a swing over. And so what that means is we are going to decommission or turn off this pump for the time that it takes us to swing it over to our new system. And what that just kind of entails is, like I say, taking it out of commission so that the service water can be dealt with and sent out with the other existing pumps in the area to keep up with the demand. So when we have that pump down, what we're actually swinging over is all of our electrical equipment. So you'll notice this is a new or updated system here. There's a bigger panel which just allows for more things to get put into it. It just looks cleaner, a little bit nicer. And the biggest piece of this is this little red button here. This button is called an e-stop or emergency stop. What this allows is if there, for some reason, this pump wasn't running well, there was some sort of issue diagnosed, any type of operator, electrician, or just regular plant operator can come and push that button in. What that does is for that specific pump, it shuts everything off, all the power, and literally stops this pump from running so that it doesn't cause further damage if an issue was diagnosed. That way the operator or whoever is coming to work on the pump can do so safely, just because, like I said, everything is turned off at that point. And this pump runs very similar to the last one that you see. Again, this is the motor on the right-hand side. They have the shaft in the middle, and then again, this is the suction water coming up and going through to the discharge, which will go back out and get pumped out, like I said, to the extremities of the city. So as our job as an electrician, our day-to-day differs. Some days we're pulling cable, some days we're terminating, some days we're decommissioning something, so taking something out of service. And in this particular example over here, I'll show you what a cable tray looks like. So any of the really big copper conductors that we have, like this one here, that is waiting to go into a pump once it gets turned off for the swing over. It lays inside of something called a cable tray, which is exactly what's going on here. And you might ask the question of how do you get a cable that big into something like that? We actually use a machine called the tugger. And what that looks like, or how that functions, is we actually pull a rope in, a boat rope, so a nice big thick rope, in along the cable tray, and then that machine will actually pull that rope through, also pulling in that cable at the same time. And once that happens, we'll just lay it out along wherever it needs to go so that when the time comes for that swing over to happen, the cable is already here, it's ready. We also do something called dressing the cable in, which just means we go along the cable's route and zip tie it down or fasten it down just to make it look nice and make sure that it's going to the right location. And yeah, that's a cable tray. So this is a communication control panel. And what this does is it allows that remote control aspect of this plant to communicate with that control room back at the head plant. So I will open this up and you guys can see what this looks like. So these are Cat6 wires here on the side, and this little yellow one is a fiber. So what that is it actually has a little bit of glass inside of it, and that just allows for a very fast response. And then how this actually controls to the control room is it actually goes out to the road and then connects from there and actually goes all the way back to our head plant, and then again communicates with that control panel that way. So the purpose of this, or the benefit of being able to do this, is that you don't have to have a technician on site at all times. Like I said, everything can be controlled from this one room. So that one room can have one technician sitting there overseeing the whole process of the plant and making sure that everything is getting pumped correctly and to the demand of the service water. And then again, just that communication back and forth. If something isn't working, again, they can diagnose that or be made aware of that in the actual control room, and then they can send out alternative technicians to come and see what that problem is and diagnose it and verify it.